Next, we need to configure conditional access to protect our administrators and users as they go about their work. Conditional access allows us to dynamically require additional steps for authentication when a user attempts to sign in. For example, it might require that a user be using a company-managed device to get access, or otherwise they'll need to use multi-factor authentication to prove it's them. We can also enforce strong multi-factor authentication such as FIDO2 keys for users with privileged roles. Let's go ahead and configure some common and recommended conditional access policies for our environment. We'll head to Setup, and from Setup again we're going to scroll down until we find the next step in our Sign In and Security section, which is around configuring multi-factor authentication. Let's choose that, and we'll enter a conditional access feature. To get started, we just choose Get Started, and we arrive at the Enforce Multi-Factor Authentication screen. This is a fantastic wizard-driven approach. This is a really useful way to check our current position around multi-factor authentication and whether we're using advanced adaptive MFA using conditional access. As you can see, it says that adaptive MFA using conditional access is currently off in our environment. We haven't turned it on yet, so that makes a lot of sense. But we have 2 admins protected by MFA. The other admins that I've created in the environment have not yet set up multi-factor authentication, but the 2 that I'm currently using definitely have. So very simply, the next steps will be to choose Next. And now we're at the section around choosing authentication methods for our organization. There are 3 main categories of authentication methods. There are high security, medium security, and low security. When it comes to high security, the Microsoft Authenticator app on a person's mobile phone is a very secure method of accessing an environment. Another very secure method of accessing an environment without a mobile phone is a FIDO2 security key like the one I'm using here. This one allows us to tie our authentication method to this device that I'm holding. It means that only I, using the PIN that I set, can access the environment using this strong factor. To try to gain access to an environment, an attacker would need this key and the PIN that I know, which is hopefully unlikely to happen. So I'm going to enable FIDO2 security keys as a possible method for accessing our environment. When it comes to medium security, we have third-party software auth tokens and temporary access pass. When it comes to low security, we either have the SMS or text message and email one-time password. There's also the ability to enable call, but in this environment, as it's a trial, we can't enable that. Text messages are typically known to be vulnerable to many different hacking methods, and so it's good practice to not allow SMS authentication as one of your multi-factor authentication methods. And we have some pre-made conditional access templates that are configured automatically for us to give us a good base level of security. We have the adaptive MFA template that's been designed for us right now, which is that we require multi-factor authentication for admins. We block all legacy sign-ins that don't support MFA. If we were to enable legacy sign-ins that don't support MFA, then an attacker would simply use one of those legacy methods to attack the environment, and it wouldn't be protected by multi-factor authentication. So it's a good idea to block those. We require multi-factor authentication for external and guest users, and we also require multi-factor authentication for internal users. This is lacking the advanced risk detection that is available in the Microsoft Entra ID Premium P2 SKU. With Business Premium, we don't have access to Microsoft Entra ID Premium P2, but we have a good base level in P1. If necessary, you can customize this further by choosing Customize and taking a look at what options you have. For now, I like this level of protection that we've got. It's a good base, it'll get us started. We can choose Next. And we get a question. And this question is important. One, because it's going to let us proceed to the next step. It's also important because actually we're going to be disabling a security feature by choosing Proceed. You can see that at the top line there it says Security Defaults is currently enabled. Saving conditional access policy templates will automatically turn off security defaults. Now, security defaults was put in place by Microsoft to give a good base level of security, but it's not adaptive and it's not giving us any additional features that we're paying for with Business Premium. Conditional access, however, is adaptive and is dynamic and is that advanced level of control we have for multi-factor authentication. So we do need to turn off security defaults in order to use conditional access, and that's a good thing. So we'll proceed. Now that we've chosen to proceed, you can see we're at the review and finish section, but it's still wanting us to check one thing before we move forward. We have the authentication methods that we've assigned to it: high security with the Microsoft Authenticator app and FIDO2 security keys. And in medium security, we have the temporary access pass and third-party oath tokens. You can then see underneath that we've got the 4 policies that are going to be enabled. We have require MFA for admins, and there's a user exemption on that, which is my admin account. I didn't enter that, but the admin account is there by default because that's the admin that's running it. And just to be sure we don't make any mistakes, it's excluded that admin from this policy. Now in future we're going to remove that exclusion so that I'm not excluded as an admin from these policies. But we are going to put an exclusion in for our emergency access accounts because they shouldn't be included in these policies. They're there just for emergency use and they're not going to be protected by conditional access. So we're going to choose Save Configuration, and if you like, you can email an announcement to your organization that you've enabled this feature. For me, I'm going to click Done, and we can move on to the next step. Okay, when we're finished with that step, it does take us into the All Guides section, which is not ideally where I want to be. I'd like to go back to the Setup screen and scroll down back to the pages we were following, and just see how we're doing on this. So we have added our users to Microsoft Entra ID. We've configured multi-factor authentication using advanced conditional access. And the next step that you can see is to let users reset their own passwords. This is important because when we allow a user to reset their password whenever they need to, they could reset it when they feel it's been compromised, or when they think it's not secure enough, or when they think they've accidentally given it out to someone over the phone or in some kind of phishing attack. So we allow them to immediately remediate that issue by resetting their password. We can also reduce the burden on the help desk by allowing the user to self-service reset their password. This is all secured by multi-factor authentication, so the user can prove who they are using their second factor. Let's configure that. We're going to choose let users reset their own passwords and then get started. The solution we're configuring is something called self-service password reset, and it takes us over to the Entra portal to enable it. Microsoft Entra Admin Center is kind of the back end and more advanced view of your Microsoft 365 Business Premium tenant. So in the password reset section, we're going to choose between selected and all. Obviously, if we choose none, then no one is able to use self-service password reset. If we choose selected, then we can specify a group of users who are able to use self-service password reset. In my case, I want all of my users to be able to use self-service password reset for this environment, so I'm going to choose all. Once we're finished here, we can choose Save. Next, we can head over to Authentication Methods, and we can check the number of methods required to reset. Now, as long as we have something like the mobile app code, which allows us to require the Microsoft Authenticator app be used to prove that it's the right person resetting a password, we can go ahead and uncheck these other 2 methods. Email and mobile phone are not really a secure method for authenticating who a person is. You'll see at the top here it says authentication methods for SSPR and sign-in can now be managed in one converged policy. This means that the methods that are strong, and clicking this, we can see the methods that are available to our users. So you can see we have passkey, FIDO2, Microsoft Authenticator, temporary access pass, and third-party software oath tokens. Heading back to the password reset section, we'll leave this configured as it is and choose Save. We expect users to register for self-service password reset when they sign in, and we'll check that information within 180 days. As you've seen, it doesn't take long to get your Business Premium environment set up with good base level security for your user and identity security. Now that we've got this, you ready for the next step?